It's time for the Movin the Chains podcast. Your home for high school football coverage in the Palmetto State. Every team, every game, every week. And now your hosts, Kevin Thomas and Jerel Hendricks.
Welcome into Movin the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks here for our Upper and Lower State Championship Round recap show presented by Folly Road. Jerel, we had 10 big ball games last Friday, 10 games that, were pretty close, almost to every single one. A lot of great football across the Palmetto State.
Yeah, for sure. You could tell championship week, a lot of great football teams. Like you said, a lot of one-score games, especially in the upper classifications. Had a few that got a little lopsided towards the end. But for the most part, we had some really good contests. I had a lot of fun. I know the game I went to was very exciting. I know the game that you went to is very exciting. But, yeah, I can't believe it. We've made it through round 4 upper and lower state championships and getting ready for Orangeburg later this week.
Will be a lot of fun this week heading down there covering the state titles for sure. But if you guys are tuning in for the first time, we really appreciate you. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. Our website, movinchains.com. Podcast available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly preview show on Tuesday nights about 7 o'clock. We go live on Facebook and YouTube previewing the following week's games. We got a lot of great stuff planned for the state title preview show tomorrow night. So definitely tune in for that. Joe and I do a weekly recap show. Comes out on Sundays on our podcast platforms. We do Friday Night Spaces. Friday night, kind of basically a scoreboard show on Twitter /X as well. Lots of really good stuff to keep you guys updated throughout the week, throughout the season. And don't forget, we'll have a lot of good all-season stuff coming too. We'll have new coach interviews, reclassification stuff, all kinds of really cool stuff. So definitely don't leave us just because the season's over. We'll have some good content coming out throughout the winter, spring, and summer as well. But before we get into it, Jerel, you guys got to buy some Movin the Chains merch. We got great hats. We got great beanies. We got great toboggans. We got, black and gray toboggans /beanies. We got kind of lighter gray and kind of a whitish hoodie for you guys. We have Richardson hats, Yupong hats, black and gray and white and all kinds of different colors. Really good stuff, really high-quality stuff. Love to see some of you guys repping that stuff down in Orangeburg this week. You can check it out, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com with all your questions. We have pictures on all of our social pages as well. Lots of really good stuff. I keep wearing that hoodie each and every week, man, because it feels so good. It's so warm. And this time of year, Jerel, you need something like that.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's great stuff. The hat's delicious. So get you one of those. But yeah, man, it's great merch. Like you said, I still haven't I got to get a toboggan myself. I'm going to need it probably this weekend down in Orangeburg. Going to be a little bit chilly, but it's great stuff. I wear it, everywhere now. It's not just, covering games on Fridays. Awesome stuff. Go get it. It's quality. And two, go get your Folly Road merch too. It's holidays. Go buy some stuff and support the brand.
For sure. Let's give a quick shout out to our friends of the program before we break down the 2 different games that Jerel and I attended last week.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Come for the deals and stay for the quality with Folly Row. From polos to Q-zips to hats and more, their moisture-wicking, quick-drying, and anti-wrinkle apparel is the perfect blend of comfort and fashion for game day. FollyRow.com and at Folly Row on social media. Folly Row. Very good polos.
Let's start with your game, Jerel. You were at the Upper State 3A matchup between Belton, Honeypath, and Daniel. 2 undefeated squads going into that one, and man, it sure did deliver, didn't it?
Yeah, like you said, 2 13-0 teams. It was easy for me, with it being the holiday weekend. I was able to make that quick trip over there to Central, and boy, what an environment it was. I mean, packed on both sides. I think both towns of Belton and Honeypath made the trip over there. So if you were in Anderson County, especially with that West Side game going on too, you could have, robbed the entire county. But it was a lot of fun to see these games, and I'll get straight into it. First quarter started off kind of slow. Daniel received the opening kickoff, went on a quick 3-and-out. BHP, they take the ball. They go on a long, methodical drive that ends up just stalling out in the red zone. but they're able to get some early points. 29-yard field goal by Timothy Bertoni there with 2:39 left in that first quarter. So they take a 3-0 lead. Daniel gets the ball back again, doesn't do much with it. And towards the end of the first quarter, BHP goes on another drive, but the first quarter would end at 3-0. But as we start the second quarter, fireworks would begin. Starts off with 11 minutes to go in that second quarter. Marquise Henderson takes an 18-yard carry for a touchdown, and the Bears have the early momentum going up 10-0, kind of silencing that crowd. And the BHP, the Bear crowd over there was really raucous and getting into it. But Daniel would answer quickly on a 19-yard touchdown pass from Colton Chapman to Hendricks, making that game a 10-7 score with 8:18 left in the second quarter. BHP would get the ball back. They decide to go aggressive here, Kevin, on 4th and 1 in their territory at the 41-yard line. They go for it and are stopped short. They're kind of sensing, that this was going to be a little bit of a shootout. That's what it felt like. So that was a in that football game. Right after that, with 5:12 left, after a very short drive, Chapman uses his legs to extend the play. From 11 yards out, he takes the ball in, and Daniel takes the lead 14-10. But right after that, like 40 seconds later, Marquise Henderson receives the ball, goes on a 43-yard touchdown run. The Bears retake the lead at 17-14. Colton Chapman and the boys, they come right back after a quick drive. They score again. He gets another 3-yard touchdown run, 21-17, and that would be the score at halftime. Bertoni does get in for BHP, gets in field goal range. It's kind of a low line drive, does not make it. So that halftime score is 21-17. Daniel, Kevin, at this point, I thought it was going to be an absolute shootout of a game. It felt that way, but that second quarter was a lot of fun to cover.
Yeah, it sounded like a lot of explosive plays on the ground, especially with Henderson and Chapman, those guys getting it going. And, I mean, like you said, nothing else. I mean, nothing short of what we expected. Two teams were big and physical, had some road graders up front. It kind of been the calling card for both teams. Obviously, Daniel throws around a little bit more than BHP does. They like to run the ball, of course, with Shaw and Bennett and Chapman there, and we know what BHP wants to do. So certainly lit up to the hype, and you were texting me, and I was like, man, this game is back and forth. This is a wild one here, because at that point, my game was a little bit boring, so I was definitely invested in yours, but a heck of a first half up there in Central for sure.
As we got into the third quarter, things would kind of slow down, as far as the scoring is concerned. But BHP would receive the opening kickoff. Henderson back deep. Daniel would not kick it deep, so they squibbed it. Because they did so, Henderson, it bounced to him. He's able to return it to midfield. However, on the first play of that drive, he fumbles near midfield. Daniel recovers the football there. Not really able to do much with it. They kind of just traded turnovers. Colby Bates for BHP is able to pick the ball off with about 8 minutes left in the third quarter. They can't do too much. Eventually, Daniel gets the ball back. They're able to extend their lead on a 5-yard touchdown run from Torrey Shaw with 1:51 left in that third quarter, making it 28-17. Kind of felt like a scary situation there for BHP, that they were out of it. But however, they were able to go quickly, and as we went into the fourth quarter, they gotten the ball inside to the 5-yard line of Daniel, and then the first play in that fourth quarter, they score a touchdown with Henderson taking a wildcat snap in. They go for 2. It was kind of a throwback pass, beautiful play. Unfortunately, the tight end is not able to secure the ball in bounds, so the score ends up being 28-23 with 11:52. Not much going on as far as the offense is concerned in the middle part of that, fourth quarter. But as we get towards the end, Daniel has the ball deep in their territory. They get a long third down. They're trying to pass and let the routes develop. Strip sack by the BHP Bears, and they are in business with 3:28 left. They recover the ball at their own 29, get a long run from Marquise Henderson to get inside the 5. Unfortunately, Marquise would receive the ball at the 3-yard line. He fumbles it going in on 1st and goal with 1:26, and Daniel is able to recover. They get a first down. That's the end of the ball game. Absolute heartbreaker for BHP, but a thrilling win for the Daniel Lions. They advance to the state championship for the third time in 4 years with a 28-23 score, and they're the 3A Upper State champions.
Huge win for Daniel. It seems like from talking to you and and listening to your recap, turnovers were a big part of the game. BHP obviously had a couple they lost, but I want to say I'd read where Henderson may have fumbled a couple more times as well. They just kind of fell on it. So that, ball security this time of year, Jerel, it's of the utmost importance. You can't turn it over. And that obviously came back to bite BHP there at the end. I was super impressed with what they were able to do, because we talked about on the previous show where we were worried that if all they could do was run the ball, could they sustain and hang in the ball game? They certainly did. I mean, they had a chance to win the game right there at the end, but you can't say enough about what Daniel did and what Coach Brewster does. I mean, those guys are a program that expects to win, expects to be there. The moment's not too big for them. Not saying that was the case for BHP. Obviously, we don't know, but they made the plays when they had to make them, and Daniel's moving on to Orangeburg next week.
I want to say officially Henderson fumbled the ball 4 times for BHP, lost 2, but the 2 that he lost were, just backbreakers, especially the one at the end of the game. It's just a routine play. I mean, they're going in to score to take the lead with under 2 minutes left, to advance to the state championship there. And, just kind of lost concentration. And it just happened to where the outside linebacker for Daniels, just Johnny on the spot right there. He's able to make the quick recovery, and that was all she wrote. It's a situation, too, where they still had a chance because they had 3 timeouts left, but Daniels able to pick up that first down and just kneel it out. Just like I said, just heartbreaking loss for BHP because they had the opportunity to do so. Even though they were one-dimensional, they were not able to really get anything going passing the football. Even with Quay Alexander, he was open a lot, just could not connect with him. But the run game was going. Marquise Henderson is an absolute stud. I mean, he still finished the game with over, 200 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. But Daniel, they just showed that will to win, the heart of a lion. They're champions. They've been there before. They were able to get done because that BHP defense really shut them down. If it wasn't for their senior quarterback, Colton Chapman there, especially extending plays, scrambling and getting things done, they really didn't have a lot going, especially with Kari Bennett running the football. But they were able to get it done. They made the plays when they need to, relied on their crowd, and they're going to Orangeburg.
Such a crazy just kind of change of emotions there because, with the way that game had been going, when BHP gets down to, the 2 or 3, whatever it was basically a formality. Like you expected them to score. Like they're going to go for 2, either be up by 3 or be up by 1. Daniel's going to get the ball and see if they can drive down. But just a play you didn't see coming at all, man. That was a wild one. You had a great video of that. It should be up on our Twitter page now, I think, of that fumbled ball there. Just a crazy situation. And a team that's going to be good next year. Like we knew they were good this year. I think going into the season, we were all really high on them. And they certainly delivered. Didn't quite make it to Orangeburg, but made it to the 3 upstate title games. A heck of a place to be because you beat a lot of good teams to get there. 3A has been super deep this year, so they had a heck of a run. They'll be back next year with Henderson and those boys. Coach Blaston does a great job. It'll be a lot of fun to follow. But yeah, can't say enough about Daniel, man. That's a great win. A team that we've had ranked really highly all year, but I know there were still some worries just because just didn't know who they had played. But man, they keep showing up. They keep clocking in, keep getting wins, and like you said, they'll be playing now. I think that game is Saturday night down there in Orangeburg next week. So hats off to those guys there. Any final thoughts, Jerel, on that ball game before we talk about the one that I was at on Friday?
The biggest thing, man, I was just so impressed with the crowd. They were in it the entire game. It's crazy. We're on the field and you're videoing. A lot of the times you don't really see what's happening, because you're so focused on making sure you get the shot. And I just remember, when they fumbled that exchange at the end of the game, all I could hear was that Daniel crowd just erupt behind me. And I was like, oh, no, this is not good for BHP. And then I look at it and I was like, oh no, that's the worst possible outcome for these guys, being right there. Cause I think it's a 1st and goal play too, Kevin. So this was a big deal, but just hats off to Daniel. I want to thank Beth, who works in the athletic department there for giving us access because they do a good job as far as securing their sidelines, making sure that, there's limited access to the players to eliminate distractions. We see a lot of the times now where there's a lot of people who shouldn't, be around these players when they're focusing on the games, that do have access. But they were very gracious to us, like our program, and just very thankful that she gave us that. And just want to, be respectful because that's what we're all about, hyping up these programs, these players in these communities. And so appreciate her for allowing us to do so. And we were able to catch a hell of a ball game.
Sure, it sounds like it. Let's flip now to the lower state, Jerel. I was down at the 4A lower state matchup between Irmo, the Yellow Jackets, and South Florence, the Bruins, down there at Bruin Stadium. A a place that we've been several times the last couple of years checking out ball games. Always a great atmosphere, and it certainly delivered again on Friday. Two teams that also, were undefeated, and two teams that had not been playing any close games and blowing everybody out, even in the playoffs. Thought we were in for a heavyweight matchup, and it didn't look like that for a while, but certainly turned into that later on in the night. South Florence got the ball first, and they cap off their opening drive with a 2-yard TD run by Cyree Livingston out of the Wildcat. That they went to some just kind of, shotgun stuff off the bat, and they figured out they could run the Wildcat and ran 4 plays in a row with Livingston to get down there and complete that drive to go up 7-0, 9:33 left. They stop Irmo right away on that next drive. Here comes the Wildcat again. A 1-yard TD run by Livingston caps it off. They actually had a 49-yard run the previous play out of the Wildcat. Extra point was no good. South Florence went up 13-0, 3:32 left in the first quarter, and that was the end of the score. The score at the end of the first quarter was 13-0 there. Irmo once again stopped. South Florence gets the ball. This is kind of a big play here, not because of the ensuing drive, because what happens actually 2 drives later. South Florence decides to go for it on 4th and 2 from their own 22. And it was a really weird situation, Drew. So it was actually 4th and 7 from the 17. And what South Florence does is they wait until I think it's 10 seconds left on the clock, maybe 12. Then they run their punt unit on. They did this all night long. So they sit there, wait. They run the punt unit on with 12 seconds left. They line up, kick it really quickly. As that's happening, Irmo's making their subs actually get called for too many men on the field. They don't get a guy off the field in time. So it goes from 4th and 7 to 4th and 2 with the 22. South Florence goes for it. Irmo steps up, makes a stop. They get the ball at the 22, 9:48 left. Can't get anything going. They get down to the 5-yard line, 4th and goal. Brand kind of rolls out, throws a pass. I think the receiver got his hands on it but couldn't bring it down. They're turning it over with 4:56 left. South Florence, they aren't able to get anything going. This is where that kind of field position really came into play here. They kick it back to Irmo. They get it to the 36-yard line. They are able to score on that drive. The 8-yard TD run by Brand right before the half gets him back in the ballgame, makes it 13-7. South Florence, 1:34 left, and that is the score at halftime. And it felt like a weird game. I think I texted you at one point where it's like Irmo just can't stop the Wildcat. Livingston and the boys were literally running all over him. It felt like they would go to that. They'd make a shift with the tight end or H-back, and they were just counting numbers. And Irmo just couldn't seem to get the numbers figured. They couldn't get the alignment correct, and Livingston was just running it right down their throat. And on the flip side, Irmo could get nothing going with Jaden Allen Hendricks. AJ Brand couldn't really run the ball either. And that South Florence defense, man, they are all they're the real deal. I mean they are top notch right now.
Yeah, that's what worried me when you text me. They're just running with the Wildcat. It's like, because that's what we've talked about with South Florence all year. Is like they don't have a quarterback. They don't really have a downfield passing game. And if they can't stop the Wildcat, because that's what they've really hung their hat on. That defense has been fantastic for Irmo all season. I was like, this is going to get out of hand because we know how good that South Florence defense is. But it was good to see them get that score and make that competitive right there towards the end. And that's what I love about a lot of these really, really good football coaches. They simplify the game. Like you're saying, it's just a numbers game. We're just going to run it this side. We're going to shift. We're going to do motion. We're going to do what we need to do to keep going and, move the football, score points instead of trying to do too much or get out of their character. And that's kind of been, South Florence's calling card all year.
Yeah. And it was, I think they threw 2 passes, maybe one the first drive, one the second drive, just like little screen passes or swing routes. Didn't go past the rest of the game. Just didn't have to. They played super well there. And then defensively, Coach Marlowe and the boys they were stacking the box. They knew what Irmo wanted to do with running the ball with Allen Hendricks and Brand, and they shut that down for the most part. And even though it was a 1-score game, it didn't feel like Irmo, really had a lot going on. I looked to my buddy Brian, who came with me. I said, Brian, I was like, I don't think Irmo can drive the football on them. I was like, they scored that 36-yard drive because they didn't have to go very far. I was like, they have to go 70 yards. I don't think they can do it. They certainly couldn't in the first half. But to start the third quarter, they got the ball. They get a little bit going, have a 4th and 1 from the South Florence 38. Jaden Allen Hendricks is stopped. I mean, how many times have we heard that this year, Jerel, where
never
225-pound back, 4th and 1 gets stuffed? I mean, that South Florence defense, I think it was maybe Terry Gordon who made the play on that, the linebacker, all over the field all night long. Great job by those guys up front, stuffing him. And and getting the rock back for their offense. And on the ensuing drive, you'll see one of the craziest plays you've ever seen. I know our guy, Steven Scrocky Sports, has a great video of it. So it results, Jerel, in a 24-yard touchdown for South Florence. But the way we got there was kind of wild. Zion Gilbert, the running back, took the handoff, runs it, probably got 12 or 14 yards by himself, was hit and fumbles. Offensive lineman Justin Joe scoops this ball up on a bounce about the 10-yard line, runs in the end zone, drags defenders into the end zone, 3 or 4 guys on him. Just an unreal play, the most athletic play you'll probably ever see by an offensive lineman. Just the balance he had, the wherewithal he had, just a heck of a play. We asked Coach Marlowe about it after the game. We asked Justin about it. We asked Cyree, we listened about it, and they were all, smiling, just going crazy. I mean, it was just such a wild play. You don't see something like that. And just Johnny on the spot there, and just to not fall on it, but to pick it up and take off with it, just unreal. And Cyree Livingston actually caps it off with a 2-point conversion after that to get it back up to 21-7, 5:35 left. And that was just a heck of a play. And you felt like at that point that Irmo was really in a danger zone, because they get the ball back. They go, quickly punt it away again. A 35-yard TD run by Zion Gilbert. The Bruins go up 28-7 with 3:20 left. Kind of thought it was game over right there. But Irmo, they certainly didn't quit. They get a nice little drive here going. A.J. Brands throws a pass out of Telvin Smith on the right side. He makes the guy miss. Take off down the right sideline, 28-14 as the horn goes off in the third quarter. So South Florence leads 28-14 after 3. Irmo hanging in there. They force a South Florence 3 and out. But then as soon as they get the ball back, first play, Derek Goodman, a pick for South Florence. Something that A.J. Brand had not done all year. I think he thrown one interception. South Florence comes up the big one. That's something they've done all year on the flip side, Jerel, causing turnovers. Oh, yeah. Huge play there from Goodman to get the ball back when Irmo had a little bit of momentum there. 9 minutes to go. South Florence took it over. Couldn't get much going on their drive there. Give it back to Irmo. They got the ball deep in their territory, about 5 minutes left or so, and kind of went on a kind of a slow, methodical drive. I was kind of worried about the time a little bit, honestly. But then they hit a big play, a 54-yarder from Brandon Donovan Murph on a deep post. They cut the lead to 28-21, 3:18 left. That was actually a look they had earlier. I don't know if it's that drive or the drive before. They had Murph on the deep post, and they got South Florence got pressure on Brandon. Wasn't able to hit it, but they do connect this time, make it a 7-point game, 3:18 left. South Florence gets the ball back. They go 3 and out. Irmo's defense stepped up when they had to. It was a great job by them. 2:17 left. Irmo calls that timeout before the punt. You get a high snap on the punt. Great job by Quincy Rhodes securing that and just getting the punt off, but it wasn't a good one. Irmo gets the ball at the plus 43 with 2:07 left. We thought, oh, buddy, here comes that Irmo offense. They're kind of rolling right now. The crowd was into it on Irmo's side, but the South Florence crowd, they got loud for that defense. Was a great crowd on both sides, really. And you got to give hats off to Coach Marlowe and Coach Jordan and those boys, because a lot of times, Joe, you feel like on these last-minute drives when you got a lead, you kind of play some conservative, maybe play some cloud stuff, some prevent stuff. Not South Florence. First play, they do a quarter blitz from the short side. They don't bring him down, but they cause, Brandon to throw it before he wasn't ready, just kind of get rid of it. Incomplete pass. Second down, they bring a safety blitz with Quincy Rhodes. He gets to Brandon, sacks him, forces a 3rd and 19. After that, Irmo just kind of has to try to heave it up. Incomplete. 2 plays in a row there. South Florence able to kneel it out to win that ball game 28-21 to be your for a lower state chance for 2 years in a row. Just an unreal ball game. We talked to Coach Marlowe about, how important it was to get an early lead. Irmo's a team that hasn't really been, in that kind of situation all year long. They've been having big leads, blowing teams out, and it was big for them to do so. And those 2 early touchdowns, I think, really kind of set the tone for the evening, it felt like.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, Irmo hasn't had to play from behind most of this season. And I feel like South Florence has been in some closer games. And they're very comfortable relying on that defense. I love that into the sequence game. I bet the Auburn coaching staff wish they would have paid attention and done the same thing in the Iron Bowl. So they could have locked up their game against Alabama yesterday. But I love that, man. Being aggressive, trusting and that's another thing. you're bringing extra guys from the secondary. That means you trust your defense to make plays, especially when you know they're going to be throwing the football. So that shows immense trust in that defense, and they obviously got it done for them. South Florence, what is this, 29 in a row for these guys?
29 in a row.
They just continue to ball out. They've found a different way to get it done on the offensive side, built that lead up. But I do want Irmo. I mean, what a magical season that they've had thus far. I mean, even this game, you go down to South Florence. It's not an easy place to play. I know it was packed, and they just never gave up. Just went toe to toe with one of the best programs in the state, and just didn't go their way. But they had a heck of a year. They've got another team. They got a lot coming back next season. They're going to be in it again. But it sounds like that was a fantastic ball game and a great ending too.
For sure, yeah. Coach Brandon's doing a great job. Obviously his son AJ will be back for senior year next year. Donovan Murph will be back. A lot of playmakers for certain for that Yellow Jacket squad. But South Florence, man, just very impressive. I could not get over that last sequence of play calling on defense. I was so impressed by that. That was an awesome job to go after Brandon. Not let him sit back there and become comfortable. And that was certainly worked out there for the Bruins. I said it, I think, on the Spaces on Friday, where I think, that it felt like they were in control the whole game. Obviously got a little bit closer late, but you still felt pretty good about it. But I mean, just to step up when you had to make plays, and they certainly did that. And I mean, you could not say enough about their defense, man. So impressive with Goodman and Gordon and Amari Adams, who that guy is humongous, Jerel. Oh my gosh, he's a big boy. I can see why everybody wants to get him. He is a stud. Harkless and Rhodes, and they didn't even have Terrence Moore, who's another a great player for them. They played a great ball game. And then on offense is what they're done lately with Gilbert and Livingston. Livingston didn't really come on strong to the last really the playoff run, it feels like, but he has been fantastic. Another 2 TD outing, another 150 plus yards, rushing for him. Big time game for him. Looking forward to seeing their 4A matchup, but a great time down there in South Florence as always. Got to say, appreciate it to the AD Cody Slaughter. He's been great to us. Appreciate Coach Marlowe, all the fans. I got to talk to Quincy Rhodes' mom before the game. Great to talk to her. She was awesome. Got to see our friend Jay Law. He was at the ball game. A lot of great folks there, for sure. Got a lot of great interviews. Got an interview with Coach Marlowe. We'll put in here in a sec. We got Quincy Rhodes. We got Livingston. All those are either out or coming out on our social pages the next couple of days. So really, really good time down there. Really good atmosphere. And I want to say this, because I think people a lot of times don't really understand at the high school level, because your kids come and go all the time and they graduate and all that. But I think South Florence is building a program. Coach Marlowe is doing a great job there. Like, this is not kind of a flash in the pan. They had some talent a couple years in a row, whatever. No, I think they are going to be built to last. Like, he's done a great job there, phenomenal job. The guys are getting to that point where they expect to win. Like they mean business, Jerel. I mean, you've seen them play the last couple of years. It's something that I think is going to be successful for a long time down there.
Yeah, that's a cool thing in watching this team. Obviously, last year they had Lenore Sellers at quarterback, who was the best player in the state, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Running and throwing, just getting it done. Shaquem Shiloh also in the backfield there. They were able, to get things done dynamically through the offense. And this year they've completely retooled it. I mean, they're running Wildcat. I know Cyree has more of a basketball background, and just getting it done still. But at the end of the day, they've played fantastic defense, and that's really what wins championships. You don't win 29 games in a row by mistake. That just doesn't happen, and then have back-to-back championship appearances. Like you said, Coach Marlowe is one of the best in the state. This is one of the best programs in the state at this point, and it's exciting to see, with the Bruins, are really building down there, and it's a lot of fun. To watch them get it done in different ways, different years, different styles. I mean, this could be a three-peat. I mean, if Sellers doesn't get hurt midway through the season 2 years ago, they had a legitimate shot to do this again. So, I mean, it's a really, really a testament to that AD and that coaching staff and what they've been able to do, and the kids really buying into what they want to accomplish.
And on top of that, this year, Jerel, Jaden Sellers, he's going down with the ACL. He had been, carrying the load there, kind of doing the Wildcat stuff. They've really, built around that and been able to kind of come together and play great football. But I do want to shout out the concession stand as well. Great hot dog again. They do a phenomenal job down there. Really good stuff. great environment for sure. But
wish I could say the same, but yeah, they kind of let me down over there in Central. Got to work on that. Maybe last game of the year they didn't want to have anything left over. They were out by midway through the second quarter, out of concessions.
No. Oh no,
never.
I had a good experience. But let's put in that interview with Coach Drew Marlowe right now, and then we'll kind of wrap up that ball game and talk about the rest of the slate from the upper and lower state championship weekend.
Kevin Thomas with the Chains for Coach Drew Marlowe, the South Florence 28-21 lower state 4A team, 2 years in a row, Coach. This Irmo team has been dominating everybody. How big was it to kind of get up early, touch the mouse early right on the first quarter?
Yeah, that was huge. Getting an early lead was really important for us. Our defense played unbelievable all night. Probably got a little too conservative there at times, and we didn't put our defense in the best situation. But we went for it on 4th down at our own 30-yard line, and they held them. And our defense was the story tonight. They played their tails off, and they did an unbelievable job.
Coach, Cyree Lewis in another big game. He's really come on strong lately for you guys. What is he kind of unlocking your offense with that big emergency kick the last few weeks?
Well, the biggest thing is when we got him back there, we got 10 people blocking. And so when people are blitzing us and when it's getting hairy in there, we can put him back there. He's a great athlete, and he's got 10 good ones in front of him blocking.
Coach, your lineman, Justin Joe. What a play. Gilbert gets hit, he fumbles. Joe scoops it, drags the fingers in the end zone. What's going through your head during that moment?
The Lord is blessing us right now. In all seriousness, you can't explain that any other way. You know what I'm saying? And we pray every night before we come out that the Lord would empower us to play beyond our abilities, and that was one of them right there.
Mr. Defense Coach played big all night, had to make one more stop here for you, Irmo down 7. You make some gutsy calls, blitzing some safety, some corner blitz there late. How big was that last drive that, it was pretty easy for out on that?
Yeah, well, there's nothing easy stopping them because you're so worried about all the things they can do, especially with their quarterback. But our defensive staff did an unbelievable job this week getting our kids ready to play in this game. Cannon Jordan, our defensive coordinator, does a phenomenal job of game planning, but also getting our kids ready to play in the moment. And it showed up tonight.
Back-to-back for a lower state champs. How special is this team going on Ramsey?
They're special, man. Special. 29 seniors, they were here, as freshmen when I first got here, and they're fighting, they're resilient, and we're so happy we got one more week of work.
29 straight wins for Coach Drew Marlowe, South Florence, 2021 tonight, Coach. Congrats. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
That was head coach Drew Marlowe after his South Florence Bruins defeated Irmo 28-21 to win the 4A lower state championship. Jerel, let's take a look at the rest of these ball games from across the state.
For sure, we'll do it. And obviously, with us having a limited slate this week, definitely want to give shout outs to our friends at Kona. They sponsored our games of the week all year, and also our friends at Hanna Engineering. Obviously, with this amount of games, they were all pick'em contest games this week. Just want to thank them so much for their continued, sponsorship of our program, allowing us to travel and, bring these to you, and just so allow us to have fun with high school, covering high school football in this great state. Just thank those great people at Kona and at Hanna Engineering. But let's look at our 5A schedule. Kevin, we'll start with a big one, and this was the Upper State Championship. You had Dutch Fork and Jail, man. The Patriots lead the majority of this game. They fall apart, and they ultimately fall in the contest 31-30. Silver Foxes are back in the state championship game after just a horrific start by their standards. Coach Tom Knotts and the boys. What's this? The greatest story ever?
GSE.
That's what they're labeling it, and it just continues.
Unreal, man. And on top of that, you lose quarterback Ethan Alfing during the ball game, so you got to go back to John Hunt, who's kind of been injury bitten all year long as well. Crazy game there. Heck of a comeback. You're down 9 points late in this one. You score a touchdown. You don't get the onside, but you force a quick 3 and out. You get a big punt return. You're able to drive down, and Welch drills the field goal twice because Yale-Man called a timeout on the first one there. Heck of a play. Got to give props to Jail-Man, though, man. Just the way that the fact they're in this ball game, playing in it, and then not only that, had a real chance to win. Such a testament to that Patriot program and their players and Coach Watson, what he's done there. Michael McClellan had a huge ball game there. I think he had right around 200 yards receiving, like 15 catches, some just outrageous, performance. big-time players make big-time plays, and he certainly showed up there. A team that we've enjoyed following all year long. Great offense, we know, but the defense came on strong and played pretty well again on Friday, man. But Dutch Fork just, it seems like destiny almost at this point, right?
Yeah, you can say that. And then it's kind of hard to say, though, even as bad as it was for them, they've been here so many times, I think that was the situation here where it's a team that's accustomed to playing for state championships versus the team that's not. They give up 10 points in the last 4 minutes of the football game there. That's just kind of maybe just tightening up a little bit. Moment getting a little big, Dutch Fork able to pocket those 3 timeouts, able to get the ball back after not being able to recover the onside kick, and just getting the job done. Like you said, drilling the field goal twice to send them to the state championship. But again, too, as someone who's from Greenville, man, that's awesome to see Jerel, man, their season. They do lose, a lot of that firepower there on offense, but they've played really well defensively as this season. Coach Watson, that's his background, and they're going to be very good for years to come. Awesome to see them, fight this game. Ultimately had control for most of it, but when the final horn went off there, Dutch Fork is the victor once again. That final is 31-30. Moving on to White Knoll and Somerville in the lower half of the bracket. White Knoll is able to, just keep Somerville at arm's length. Completely stifles that high-powered offense. They win this football game 21-14.
And they had a 2-score lead for majority of the end. They were up 14-0 going into the break there after a late touchdown by, I think, Tion Fanning ran it in. Sharp had hit Earl earlier for a touchdown. Somerville gets on the board finally in the third quarter to make it 14-7 with a Trey Green run. Landon Sharp comes right back with a touchdown run to make it 21-7. Somerville, though, they didn't quit. They got another late touchdown, another Green run, and actually were able to stop White Knoll and get the ball back late with just, let's see how much time it was left. I've got my recap broken out here. About 3 minutes left. They actually get a couple of first downs from their own 35. They get down to the White Knoll 36. Can't convert a fourth down. They have to punt it, or I guess turn it over on downs, and White Knoll kneels it out. But heck of a job by Coach Pelham, man. You mentioned offense for Somerville, man. Yannick Smith and Trey Green and Jaden Cummings, those guys have been just putting up huge numbers on everybody all year long. White Knoll, to hold them to 14 points, super, super impressive there. And then just enough plays by, quarterback Landon Sharp, man. The guy's a stud. I love the way he plays football, and he made enough plays when they had to have it, and, White Knoll stays undefeated.
Yeah, that's a thing, too. Somerville's been the number 1 team in 5A the entire season, start to finish. And if you would have told me, last week that White Knoll is only going to score 21 points, Somerville's going to win that football game. So I want to give a shout out to that defense. They've really been getting after it. We saw them a few weeks ago. They have so many studs on that defense, holding them to 14 points. That Somerville team is just so impressive, and they're very deserving for this championship berth. Sets up a rematch down in Orangeburg for this region championship.
And I think every week is somebody different. I think this week it was Connor Burgess and Domenico Banks had big games, but it could be Jaden Kimball or Lincoln Ayunga, whoever. They got so many studs over there, similar to South Lawrence, which is tons of names that to shut down that high-powered offense was very, very impressive on Friday.
Moving over to 4A in the upper state, we had Westside and Greenville, the Red Raiders, coming off that huge victory over Northwestern last week. And then Westside winning a shootout against Midland Valley. Another high-scoring affair here, a little bit different from the first time these two meet. Another region matchup, rematch, excuse me, in Westside and Greenville. Westside's able to win this game in overtime, 42-35. Greenville, they kind of had a slow start. Were able to turn it on late and to send this game to overtime. But that West Side offense does enough. Obviously, they score 40 plus. But the defense, we've talked about them all year, how they're maybe not the best defense, but they always make a huge play in these big time games.
Yeah, you mentioned at Greenville, they were down for a majority of the game, came back late, scored a touchdown with under a minute left to tie it, to send it to overtime. Great job by Coach Porter's offense with Drummond and Bennett and Renfro and all those guys out there. But too much Westside. Cutter Woods, Josh Williams, Jamar Boston, Sherrod Richardson. So much firepower there. And then you mentioned in overtime, they score first. Greenville gets the ball, and you get an interception by who? Jamar Boston, your NC State commit, a receiver playing both ways tonight. awesome to see that. We're big fans of that, Jerel. We love the guys who play both ways.
Oh yeah,
especially in the playoffs. And he got a lot of time at DB earlier in the year when we had that, the busted up wrist there. So he's certainly not unfamiliar to the position there. Big time play. And, what Coach Swain has done there has been really impressive. A team that always has talent, it feels like, hasn't quite gotten to this point or gotten to, that state championship level yet. In his first year, able to kind of make that happen. It's super impressive. And Greenville, another year where they make a good run, just can't quite get to the top of that mountain. What Coach Porter did this year as well, kind of getting hot late was really impressive because I think we had kind of not really written them off, but, we didn't really expect them to make this kind of deep run that they did. But they played great in the playoffs, knocking off, Northwestern, who we thought the best team in the state possibly. Knocked those guys off. They shut out South Aiken. They beat a solid Greer team. They were on quite a roll there, but what Woods and that offense can do for Westside and the Rams is really impressive, the way he swings it around, and great win for those guys at home.
Most definitely. It's going to be one of those, another what if, for Greenville that just gets to that point again. And just, again, we thought they would be able to do it, but they just can't get through like that ceiling. Like there's just something that's preventing them from making it in that state championship game. And I think this was probably their best opportunity to do so with the amount of talent they had. Obviously they'll be talented again next year, but you lose some key pieces. Obviously MJ Bennett going to South Carolina next year, back to the drawing board for those guys. And I want to say, if there's any ADs or booster club presidents, anything like that, listening to the show, you want your team to go to a state championship in the first year of a new coaching tenure, have Kevin Thomas come to your introductory press conference. So that's what happened.
1 for 1. We're 1 for 1. So, I mean, it's 100%. 100%. Can't get much better than that, Jerel. But yeah, I do want to say another thing, turnovers again. I think I heard Greenville had 3 turnovers, something like that, including a couple of them inside the 10, possibly. Can't have that this time of year, man. That's just a killer, and Westside capitalized. Yeah,
and then Westside too. Before we move on in this game, this is a Westside defense that gave up 8 rushing touchdowns and over 300 yards to one player. Now this is a very special player last week, but held them to 35. That Greenville offense at 35 in regulation and overtime is fantastic. A good bounce back performance for them, and they're heading to Orangeburg to face the South Florence Bruins. Kev, let's go to 3A. Lower half. This is an outcome we didn't see, but it is a program that we are used to seeing, and that's Camden knocking off Brooklyn Casey 46-30. This game was never really that close. Camden gets it done. Grayson White, another big-time performance. Absolute stud of a football player there.
Just couldn't be stopped. And they got, 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns right away in that ball game. Super impressive for him. And that BC offense, obviously, it has been rolling throughout the playoffs, especially. Not built to come from behind. It's just not. And Camden took a lead, and BC couldn't ever really catch up. Certainly kept fighting and whatnot, but that Camden turnaround too. Another program that we've said it throughout the show that expects to win, expects to be there. They do it again, and the job that Coach Remp has done, making that program, getting them to this point. We thought they were kind of dead for a while there this year as well. To get them here and playing in Orangeburg again, really impressive. I'm excited to get to see Grayson White play football again, man, and I'm happy for that.
Most definitely, and this will be the third matchup between these two programs in the last 4 years for state titles. Obviously, Daniel got it done in 20 and 21, winning the state championships. We'll see if Camden can get a little bit of revenge here. It's going to be a lot of fun to see these two teams play. I think this is the Thursday night game.
3A is Saturday night.
You already said
Saturday night.
Yeah, you already said that earlier in the show, so I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. Still be a lot of fun to watch, though. Moving to 2A, Upper State had Gray Collegiate and Abbeville. Gray is able to kind of pull away late. This game was really, really tight in the first half, but Gray wins it 27-12. Good performance by Gray Collegiate. Abbeville, probably not the standard of that they're used to. This game really wasn't, I don't know. I don't want to say competitive, but it seemed like Gray was in control for the majority of it, even though it was a close score.
I believe Abbeville went up 6-0. Gray came back, scored. They scored again, went up 13-6. Abbeville scored to make it 13-12. Went for 2 and didn't get it. And then Gray kind of pulled away there. Just too much B.J. Montgomery, man. Huge kickoff return for a touchdown. That was a big play in that one. Had, I think, around 90 yards on the ground. Another touchdown rushing. Tyler Waller, nice game, touchdown to Jamarius Lockett there in that one as well. The defense for Abbeville, they kept them in it. I think Justin Rollison, I want to say, had two interceptions, I believe, for them. On the flip side, I know Gray picked off to Marcus Leach a couple times as well. They played well. Just too much firepower for the War Eagles, man. A team that's been on a roll all year long. We've been really impressed with them. We saw them back in week 0. We said, hey, this team is going to be tough to beat, and they certainly have proved to be so. And a great rivalry. I think that makes that 2-2 now. I think Abbeville won the first 2 matchups. Grays won the last 2 matchups. We'll see how it shakes out in reclassification. We'll see if we'll see that anymore or not. I don't know, but heck of a ball game, heck of a 2A matchup on Friday, and hats off to Coach Holmes and the War Eagles.
Being very optimistic, I think that is probably the last edition of this rivalry that we will see. Going to the lower part of this state, Oceanside Collegiate and Hampton County face off. Oceanside's able to win this game 42-21 over Hampton County. This game was tight, also like the first one in the first half, but Oceanside's able to pull away late. Zion Dobson does his best for Hampton County to kind of keep them in that football game. The Mr. Football finalist there, but the Hurricanes fall short 42-21. Land Sharks advance to Orangeburg.
That was a game that certainly felt closer than the final score, I believe. Just kind of got out of hand a little bit there late. And Hampton County, heck of a job fighting back what they did to kind of stay in that ball game, because they're in a danger zone for a while there. They were down in that one. I think it was maybe 14-0, something like that, before they came back to tie it up. Actually took a lead there, I think, early second half. And then Oceanside just pulled away. The quarterback, the freshman, Aiden Manavian, there we go. Big game from the freshman quarterback there. Obviously, we know what Virgilio can do and whatnot. Just a great job there, pulling away late, actually, because that was a close ball game. Certainly could have gone either way there for a while, but very impressive what Coach Wilkes has done with that quarterback spot, since Rideback went down in week 10. So great win for those guys. A lot of fun to follow Hampton County this year, and Coach Hanna and Zion Dobson, those guys. And they'll certainly have a solid program for years to come, because they've got a lot of young talent in that kind of newly formed school there for sure. But Oceanside going back to state title, after they lost last year. They'll be back again this year. So it'll be fun to see what happens in that Thursday night matchup.
For sure. The charter schools playing in the 2A state title. I'm sure everyone is happy about that. Going to 1A, Upper State, Christ Church. They roll St. Joe's 53-20. Christ Church, it seems like they've been on an absolute mission this year to get back and repeat as state champions there. And, just seems like they just can't be stopped. They've really grown up on the offensive side of the ball.
Another game where I think St. Joe's took the lead. I think they were up 6-0, and then just Christ Church, they really blew them out in the second and third quarter. That's where it really kind of came unhinged for the Knights there. Big game for Tucker Hendricks, Jackson Rep, Jude Hall, Deshaun Reeder. I think he had about 140. I think Hendricks threw for like 340. Hall and Rep both over 100 yards. I think Rep had 3 total touchdowns, 1 rushing to receiving. Yeah. Hall had a touchdown. Big game on offense, man. That's a St. Joe's defense that has been playing lights out the last couple of weeks, it felt like. The Cavs lit up the scoreboard. Coach Hatfield does a phenomenal job there. They'll be back in Orangeburg to try to repeat as state title winners this Friday.
Like you mentioned, St. John's, that defense, man, they held and you shut out Louisville a couple weeks ago, and then Christ Church drops 53 on them. So it just shows like how well Coach Hatfield's team is playing. That offense is really getting it done. Got a rematch here, though. Lower State. Got Johnsonville and Bamberg. Johnsonville is able to win this game. Shockingly, I did not see this one coming, Kev. They win it 20-10 over Bamberg. Malik Shippey and the guys just getting it done. But that defense is really the story of this one. Bamberg scoring, I think, 46 last week, held them to 10. Johnsonville goes on the road to win this football game. This is another team kind of mid-season, had a really ugly loss against Latta, kind of thought that they were done. And here they are once again playing for a state championship.
Yeah, Chanston Crosby and those boys were putting up huge numbers offensively, and Johnsonville didn't look good early. They went down 10-0. Nick Folk touchdown made it 10-0 there, and then it really changed right before the half. I think it was like 10 seconds left, less than that. They basically throw kind of a Hail Mary, but somehow Johnsonville's able to get Travis Wilson. I believe his name. Travis Wilson is able to kind of get behind the defense, make a heck of a catch in the end zone, kind of mossed the guy there a little bit, make it 10-7 going into the break. They come out second half. Malik Shippey ends up running for 2 more touchdowns, one kind of a scramble, one on a sneak. They go up 20-10, man, and that's all she wrote. I mean, that defense, the way they played in the second half was super impressive. Neil Martin broke a couple long runs on offense for them as well, for Johnsonville there. But Malik Shippey, I mean, just a winner, Jerel. I mean, 4-year starter at quarterback, knows how to get it done. Another program that has been there as recently as last year. Obviously, they were Coach Cribb, and he's done a phenomenal job. You mentioned that weird loss to North Central and weird, bad loss to Latta, but playing great football right now when it matters. And hats off to those guys for just kind of fighting back from adversity. Bamberg's not an easy place to play. You go down 10-0 right there, right before the half there, to come back and win that ball game by a couple scores was really impressive.
Again, those scores in the 5A, you had Dutch Fork knocking off Jailman 31-30. They will face off against White Knoll in a region champion rematch, 21-14. They defeat Somerville. In 4A, you had South Florence over Irmo 28-21. They will face off against Westside, who defeated Greenville 42-35. In 3A, Daniel hangs on to beat BHP 28-23. They have a rematch of been 3 of the last 4 years in the championship game there. They will play Camden, who beat Brooklyn Casey 46-30. In 2A, Gray Collegiate knocks off Abbeville 27-12. They'll face defending Lower State champion Oceanside, who beat Hampton County 42-21. And in Class 1A, we have a state title rematch from last season. Christchurch defeats St. Joe's 53-20, and Johnsonville over Bamberg 20-10.
Let's give a quick shout out to our friends of the program.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, KONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to kona.care to learn more.
Come for the deals and stay for the quality with Folly Row. From polos to Q-zips to hats and more, their moisture wicking, quick drying, and anti-wrinkle apparel is the perfect blend of comfort and fashion for game day. FollyRow.com and at Folly Row on social media. Folly Row, very good polos.
Jerel, obviously, we've got 10 teams left. They're all stock up. Everybody knows that at this point.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a formality. We don't need to go through it. But, yeah, hey, stock up, everybody. Congrats. Good job, guys. But let's take a look at our playoff performers brought to you by the Georgia Agency. Open enrollment is here. Whether you're a small business owner, need it for your whole business, get some group insurance, they can help you out with that. Or if you're a seasonal worker, maybe need it for individual uses, check them out. They can help you out. TheGeorgiaAgency.net. Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew get you whatever you need there, and they can just kind of help you go through that tough process of figuring out your insurance. And it's interesting stuff. It's hard to read, so hopefully they can help you out. But check them out at TheGeorgiaAgency.net. But Jerel, let's go shout out some of these great playoff performers here from the upper and lower state title games.
For sure. Let's start off with Marquise Henderson, the dynamic running back from BHP. He had 30 carries for 221 yards and 3 touchdowns. Colton Chapman, the quarterback for Daniel, had 226 total yards and 3 total touchdowns. BJ Montgomery from Gray Collegiate had 22 rushes for 92 yards and a touchdown. Also had an 85-yard kickoff return touchdown, 192 all-purpose yards for him. Cyree Livingston, athlete at South Florence, had 164 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back Zion Gilbert, also from South Florence, had 18 carries for 158 and a touchdown. Grayson White, football player, goes 21 of 27 for 309. Also had 20 carries for 69 yards and 4 touchdowns. AJ Brand, stud quarterback for Irmo, had 2 touchdown passes and also a TD run. Aiden Manavian, the quarterback from Oceanside Collegiate, goes 9 of 16 for 230 and 4 touchdowns. Zion Dobson, Mr. Football finalist out of Hampton County, goes 198 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. Malik Shippey, 4-year starter at quarterback for Johnsonville, has 2 rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown. Their big win over Bamberg. Michael McClellan, fantastic do-it-all athlete receiver there at JL had 15 catches for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns. The boys from Christchurch, quarterback Tucker Hendricks, goes 14 for 17 for 340 and 3 touchdowns. Running back Deshaun Reeder goes 140 for 2 touchdowns. Jude Hall has 4 catches for 112 and a touchdown, and Jackson Rep has 6 catches for 138 yards and 3 total TDs. Tyler Waller out of Gray Collegiate goes 13 of 21 for 178 and 2 touchdowns. Jamarius Lockett, the receiver there at Gray Collegiate, goes 6 catches for 105 and a touchdown. Do-it-all receiver from Somerville, Yannick Smith, has 6 catches for 100 yards, also ran the ball 10 times for 72 more. At Connor Burgess of White Knoll, 14 tackles, a PBU, and a forced fumble. Domenico Banks had 12 tackles, a sack, and a tackle for loss from White Knoll. And we had Tylen Drakeford from Camden, 12 tackles and a PBU in their big-time win over Brooklyn Casey.
Lots of great performances all across the state. Once again, guys, after the state title games, please send us those big stats. Love to give you guys a shout out on our recap show to kind of finish up the season next week. But that's our playoff performers brought to you by the Georgia Agency. Jerel, let's shout out our friends of the program one more time before we get into our Folly Row question.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
The Georgia Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgiaagency.net. That's thegeorgiaagency.net.
Come for the deals and stay for the quality with Folly Row. From polos to Q-zips to hats and more, their moisture-wicking, quick-drying, and anti-wrinkle apparel is the perfect blend of comfort and fashion for game day. FollyRow.com and at Folly Row on social media. Folly Row. Very good polos.
For today's Folly Row question, Jerel, let me just lay this out for you first, and we'll kind of get into it. So here's the state championship schedule here for what used to be called the Weekend of Champions. I guess that's kind of not called that anymore, but I still like it, so we're going to go with that. But Thursday night, we got 2A playing at 7 p.m. Friday, we've got 1A playing at 2 p.m., 5A playing at 8 p.m., and then on Saturday, we've got 4A playing at 12 p.m. and 3A playing at 7 p.m. The question is, Jerel, what are your thoughts on the layout? Do you like it being over the 3 days? Do you like the times that they're using? You know, what would you do differently? I know we've heard some complaints, and I know why they've done it due to, the size of the stadium, things like that. But, what would you recommend, and what would you like to see as far as just kind of the format of this Weekend of Champions?
Definitely scrap the Thursday game. I do not like that. Those guys are playing at a disadvantage, especially, depending on where they are, going into it. Shouldn't be an issue this year. I know we're playing, Orangeburg is, I guess, a central location to most of the schools in the state. But I don't like that Thursday night game. If you would want to do 2 days, do 2 on Friday or 1 on Friday, 4 on Saturday, or 2 on Friday, 1 on Thursday, something like that. I think it would give the Times more team to prepare, cut down on staffing. Like the Thursday games, the games have been fine, but I feel like logistically, obviously I've only covered the last 2 state championship weekends. Those Thursdays, it seems like it's not been prepared. The venue has not really been prepared to withstand it. And then you don't really get the crowds that you normally would. So I'm all for, I think doing everything on Saturday would be too much. 5 games on Saturday would just be a little bit, too much. You're playing early. You don't want that. And then you got a game that's super late. But definitely just hold it over Friday and Saturday. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think I would change a lot of things, honestly. But the one game that really gets me is that 2:00 Friday game. You're going to have parents there, but you're not going to get any kind of casual fans there. Mildly, into the, I don't know, man. You're not going to get, the crowd's just not going to be there. It's hard to take off work. Even people who want to be there just physically can't be there. I know some schools have to do stuff where they cancel school early or whatever to even be able to get the kids out of there and all that stuff. But it's just, makes no sense to play a game at 2:00 on Friday, in my opinion. I don't honestly. I would say go to a Friday night, 1 game Friday, and then I guess you do 3. Maybe you do 1 Thursday, 1 Friday, and then 3 Saturday, or maybe you do 1 Friday, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday, or what. I don't have an issue with playing on Sunday. I know that it might be kind of a sore spot.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I think you got to get rid of that midday game. That's the one that really, makes me upset because I feel bad for those kids because the atmosphere is just not going to be what it needs to be playing at 2:00 on a Friday. You could easily move that game and play 3 games on Saturday. I think right now, what did I say is scheduled for, I think 12 and 7 on Saturday. You could easily play 12, 3:30, 7, 12, 3:30, 7:30, whatever you got to do. But yeah, I think finding a way to get rid of that game will be nice. I'm with you as well. I'd love to not see a Thursday game too, because that's a day short of prep that you don't get. And I mean, you want these guys to be full strength this time of year for sure. But I get it. I know it had to change because of COVID, because of getting people in and out of stadiums and whatnot. And I understand that it just hasn't gone back, but I would like to see it go back to have some more consistency and just be a little bit tighter schedule there. It feels like.
Yeah, and then even on Friday, you could kick that game to 4:00. You could at least do that.
Go 4 and 8 or something. I think right now it's 2 and 8, right? So why not do 4 and 8? I mean,
exactly. Yeah, you could kick it back a couple hours, and then too, you're playing on college venue, so it's not like a warm up issue or anything like that. The kids can warm up at a practice facility or a practice field or something like that. In preparation for the game, you don't have to warm up on the field. I know yours is the Friday afternoon. Mine's the Thursday. I don't like the Thursday night game. Get rid of that. Like you said, it kills a day of prep, because these guys are traveling too. Like that's the big thing. It's not like somebody's playing at home or something like that. It's a pretty quick turnaround to have to play that Thursday night. It's not the NFL. These guys have been playing, sometimes 15 weeks straight, depending if they have a bye or not. So give them that extra day at least, and get rid of that Thursday night game.
For sure. I hope you guys will sound off in the comments. I'll get you guys' thoughts on that. I know a lot of folks complain about it, so I wanted to get you guys' thoughts and just what y'all would recommend us do, and love to hear from the guys. But Jerel, a fantastic week of action as always, man. A lot of great ball games across the state. We could have picked 7 or 8 or 9 different ones to go to. They all would have been great. I mean, they were fantastic games. A lot of really good football out there. But if you guys tune in for the first time, we really appreciate you. Check us out: Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. Website movinchains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Do our weekly preview show Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. We'll have one for the state titles this Tuesday. It'll be a lot of fun on Facebook and YouTube Live. Definitely tune in for that and give us your thoughts. Jerel and I do a weekly preview show. Comes out on recap show. Comes out on Sundays on our podcast platforms usually. We also do a Friday Night Spaces on Twitter /X. Lots of good stuff there. Jerel mentioned earlier, got to get your MTC merch, the hats, the toboggans, the beanies, the hoodies. Lots of really good stuff. Lots of really quality stuff. Get yours today. Holidays are coming up. I know you got probably a big Movin the Chains fan in your family. Definitely check them out and hook them up with some great gear. Love to have you guys support us and do that. But any other thoughts, Jerel, from you on just kind of that upper and lower state round and just stuff in general?
Bittersweet week, man. Get to crown champions this week, but that means it's over, so excited, for that aspect of it, but definitely sad that it's, we can see the finish line officially, and I don't like that part of football season at all. I know we've been talking about these players we've been able to cover these last few years, each week, just really, just thankful for those guys and these communities and programs for allowing us to do so. It's been a pleasure, covering each and every one of you, and wish you continued success and good luck in the future, even if that does not involve playing football. And looking forward to getting down to Orangeburg, man.
Yeah, I got a couple names here. McClellan, Anderson, Smith, Green, Bennett, Allen Hendricks, McCleary, Young, Dobson, Jarzewski, Folk. I mean, tons of guys. We've grown up with these guys. Watching the last 2, 3, 4 years, man. Really enjoyed them, and best of luck to them and all the rest of the seniors in the future. But yeah, Jerel, we'll be down there in Orangeburg all 3 days, all 5 games. Hopefully, you guys will tune into our social media platforms and whatnot to kind of keep up to date. We'll have some great coverage coming for you guys. A lot of great interviews, hopefully, and pictures and videos and whatnot. So definitely check us out there. But Movin the Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Jerel Hendricks, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Upper and Lower State Championship Recap Show brought to you by Folly Road. We will catch you guys soon.